because I'm interested in what's actually going on. So let's have ourselves a quick look. Sorry to those of you in Dota TV if I'm cutting out. It's because I'm alt-tabbing to a different screen, and for some reason your mic doesn't continue to be picked up. So I'm going to alt-tab again quickly here and have a look at some brackets. You guys on the stream, of course, can still hear me. And let's have a look at where we are. So this is lower bracket, round 1, LFY versus Vici Gaming. I guess the people in-game want to hear this as well. This is lower bracket, round 1, LFY versus Vici Gaming, game 3. We're all tied up 1 apiece. Loser advances. Loser advances. That would be an interesting format. Winner advances, but it's only 1 step closer to being qualified. The loser is going... Well, they're not going home, but they're staying home because they're not going to be making it to the summit. In terms of our bans, we are going to see the greatest amount of position 4 hate that I have ever seen in the initial 4 bans. Train Protector, Ricky, Sand King, and the Earth Spirit all removed. We've got Nyx Assassin picked up, so it looks like that's probably going to end up being the position 4 for LFY as Vici Gaming say screw it. They're just going to pick themselves a Slardar Lifestealer. It's not an old school combo necessarily, but we haven't been seeing it as much this patch. And they're just going to somewhat put their cards on the table early on here.
10 seconds.
They do still, of course, have the opportunity to shift their lineup a little bit around with their later picks in terms of their mid and whatnot. But Slardar 4, Lifestealer position 1, does show that their lineup is going to be pretty active, pretty aggressive, looking for the Roche. Probably looking to get a little bit more building damage in there as well, which is going to be a little bit of a problem, I think, for them, because to get building damage, for the most part, you need to pick physical damage heroes, because they go well with the Slardar, but then you're making yourselves pretty easy to counter by LFY, because then they only have to itemize against 1 damage type, which is not that big of an ask. So, alright, let's see how this plays out. We got the Terrorblade already being picked up for LFY, certainly very good against the Lifestealer. Nyx can't really man-fight him at all. Of course, he has very, very high armor as well, so doesn't really care as much about the Lifestealer bombs, potentially, especially if there's a little bit of counter-initiation coming in shortly afterwards. It makes a lot of sense that the Dazzle gets banned, because it definitely needs to be banned here. Very, very good combo with the Terrorblade. And also, of course, very good against the Lifestealer and the Slardar. Alright, draft is slowed down a little bit, as I guess LFY have to consider what they're really afraid of. I wonder, could a pick... Oh, no, there's the Nyx Assassin. I was about to say, like, oh, could a pick like Lesh be okay here? But it's interesting, because they have the Nyx Assassin, a lot of the heroes that you want to pick against the Terrorblade, you don't really want to pick anymore. You want to pick, like, a Zeus, or a Lina, or a Lesh, or any of these AoE clearing heroes against the TB illusions, because right now they have nothing really to deal with TB illusions past a certain point. I mean, a Crush and Infest pop out is going to do a little bit of damage, but not enough past a certain point. But all of those heroes that I just mentioned, you don't want to pick into the Nyx Assassin. Why would you want to play the Lina or the Lash or anything like that? The one strategy that they could go for is to maybe put one of those heroes mid and then put an Omni Knight in the off lane, so they're going to protect their mid hero from the Nyx Assassin in that way. I think that could be pretty cool. I think the Guardian Angel is also really sweet to have against the Terrorblade, so that's maybe one way to approach this. What would another way be? What are the other ways to deal with the TB? They don't want to pick something like a Sven. I think that would just be too weird, and then you're running like Lifestealer mid or something like that. And Vici, I think very much realizing that they're somewhat going to be forced to go all in on some kind of right-click strat, or just getting rid of as many armor heroes as they can. So Dazzle, that's armor, it's gone. DK, that's some more armor, it's gone. Maybe they're thinking about picking Shadow Fiend or something for mid. Decent against the Terrorblade, does bring some magical damage to the lineup without being as vulnerable to the Nyx Assassin as some of those other heroes that I was talking about a little bit earlier. But no, alright, it is just going to be a Lina for now. So Maybe that's gonna come along with like a Crystal Maiden and an Omni Knight as the last 2 picks. LGD, if they want the Crystal Maiden, they can take it for themselves now. If they want the Omni Knight, they could maybe even take it for themselves now. That might be a little bit slow this game.
5 seconds remaining.
What are some other good options here against the Luna? I guess they have to think about the laning matchup as well. All right, I'm sold on this Abaddon pick already. Dispel some... definitely good at dispelling amplify damage. Oh, Corrosive Haze, right? Yeah, Corrosive Haze. Keep changing these ability names on me, but all right. So they do have the Abaddon for that. He can frontline a little bit, help save people from getting Lina comboed as well. Gives them a little bit more 5-man oomph in their lineup. So if they have a Terrorblade and Abaddon pushing a tower, I think that building dies in a matter of seconds, which is pretty scary. The Abaddon is also kind of a split-pushing hero, and Vici Gaming right now, while they do have some decent catch between the Slardar and the Lina, and the Lifestealer obviously coming along for the ride, but if LGD managed to get past the point where all the tier 1 towers are down, they should be able to delay this game a decent amount just by having Abaddon push one lane, Terrorblade pushing over on the other side, spamming some illusions around the place, and that split push is going to help create some space for the Nyx Assassin to find the pickoffs that he wants, because the Vici Gaming heroes are going to have to go and deal with those pushes. But in general, you know, if you're trying to keep the tempo of this aggressive lineup still going, you're going to send one hero to go and push that out, as opposed to sending your whole team. Because if you send your whole team, then they're just going to go push somewhere else. So I think this is a reasonable looking strategy for LFY. Vici just going to grab themselves a Rubik, decent zoning support. Gives them a little bit of deep push early on as well. You know, Terrorblade can potentially take a tier 1 tower insanely early into the game. Like, you know, we're talking 4 or 5 minutes taking your tier 1 out. So maybe Rubik carries a TP early on and he runs over and throws a Fade Bolt and slows that push down a little bit. Vici just looking for their position 3 hero to round out the lineup, as LFY will grab themselves a Templar Assassin. Again, still not necessarily a TA favored matchup against the Lina, but as we've seen, Templar Assassin can farm very, very nicely, almost no matter how well she does in the lane. Very similar to Shadow Fiend in that regard. And Vici, very few ways of dealing with Refraction right now. So I don't know if the last pick is going to be the solution. Maybe they want something like a Darkseer for their off lane, though I don't know how sold I am on Darkseer this game. I mean, it is a good combo with the Slardar. Not awful against the TA. It does put a bit of pressure on the Terrorblade. There's some pretty valuable illusions to get this game between the TB and the TA as well. So that could be all right, but could be a little bit tough to pick the Darkseer into the Nyx Assassin potentially. So maybe that's going to give them some misgivings about picking it, but alright. LFY just going to protect themselves against the very single target focused pick-off lineup that Vici could potentially go for, as they ban the Bat Rider out. And LFY now with 40 seconds to go just have to decide on their position 5 hero. A little bit weird that they left the position 5 all the way until this final pick, but alright. With the Crystal Maiden banned, they will just decide on a Vengeful Spirit. I don't think it was a very big decision, and Vici will go for the Darkseer. So, alright. I still don't know how amazing this is as a Darkseer game, but it is certainly good with the Slardar, and it fits the pace of game that Vici are going to be looking to play here with the Lifestealer timings and pushing buildings, taking team fights, buying a mech. It's all good stuff. LFY's lineup is a little bit slow to get off the ground. Vengeful Spirit can rotate around a little bit with the Nyx Assassin, but Abaddon in general I think is going to be relatively static in his lane. TA wanting to farm up a decent amount. Though I think they should have quite a bit of time, because Vici, as much as they do push, they push waves and they are pretty aggressive in taking team fights early, they don't actually force buildings that well. Lifestealer probably has to go for a Deso build this game just to give them that little bit more.
10 seconds remaining.
That actually sucks for him, because it's
5 seconds.
I think there's 2 schools of thought on this. So there's the one school of thought which says you've got the Corrosive Haze, maybe you don't need Desolator as much, because past a certain point, well, once they get into a certain amount of negative armor reduction does actually start to scale off a little bit. I could be misremembering how the mechanic works here. I wanted to remember to switch my overlay. But yeah, I also think is my overlay in the wrong place? We'll get into the game and then I'll check. I think it's not actually completely lined up, so maybe I have to shift it around here. I guess that's kind of okay. It's not in the way of anything at the very least. What am I dragging around here? Alright, now looks like we're all good. Okay, so this is, for anyone who happens to just be tuning in, this is LFY versus Vici Gaming, Game 3. Loser is eliminated here from the Summit 7 China qualifiers, and winner will keep their dreams alive of getting a little trip and getting to play at a pretty big LAN event. This upcoming summit should actually be pretty sweet. And God, we've got so many LANs. There's so much Dota going on at the moment. There's so many qualifiers, but the qualifiers are just getting me hyped, and I hope they're getting you guys hyped as well for the upcoming actual tournaments. It's LAN season, baby. Okay, so for Vici, we got Jal on Lifestealer again. Chuan's going to be on his oh-so-shiny Rubik. And we've got Amy on the Slardar. Ori is going to be on the Lina. And finally, we have Yang on the Darkseer. Meanwhile, for LFY, Afu once again on Nyx had some amazing plays in the previous game. That spiked Carapace on the Templar Assassin mid. I didn't even talk about didn't talk about it too much after it happened because the game was ending. But that was a game-winning play there. Getting the spiked Carapace off and the follow-up stun on the TA who had just blinked in. You could probably argue that it was a bit of a game-losing play from the TA, but still, Afu, finding that opportunity. Monet is going to be your Terrorblade, DDC on the Vengeful Spirit, Super on the Templar Assassin, and I really need to figure out what to call this guy on the Abaddon. Jack or Josh, somebody save me. There's a 5-minute delay on the stream, so unfortunately the chat's not that helpful, but good for anti-sniping purposes. Alright, so we do have the Slardar Darkseer lane getting run up here. They do have a little bit of vision off to the side, so they see that these supports are rotating their way in. There is an Observer and a Sentry on Afu, so he's probably going to try and deal with those in a little bit. The Metamorphosis has already been popped by the TB, but that's just going to help him get these CS underneath the tower, as he has been forced under there by the Ion Shell. And Slardar even going to get a couple of free hits in, as DDC trying to zone him out, but without any backup. Looks like Abaddon has managed to get the creep wave into a decent position, so that's looking like his level 2 more or less secured, as the mid lane goes very nicely for Ori, spamming back the TA and forcing out that salve nice and early here, and going to use that little bit of extra space that he's generated for himself to go for a bit of a clarity break. Though he needs to be careful not to get that clarity broken by some side blades, and that's what Super is looking for right this second. He gets a nice one. Little snipe. Ori needing to be careful with his salve here. Gonna juke and jive just to try and get the full regen, and he does manage to make it back up to full HP. Does he opt for the deny? Does actually manage to grab it. And now dragging the creep wave back over onto his side. Taking some side blade damage in the process, and actually dropping very low from the side blade. That's going to be a Shrine forced out early on here. As Super just going to munch on a secondary double tango, and he's going to be okay. Darkseer did back off into the jungle just for a second so that the Slardar could take over the lane and pick up his level 2, it looks like. And Abaddon, knowing that they are still just zoning over at the off lane, is going to be able to race the Rubik for this bounty rune, and will be successful in doing so. Alright, so Lina back after a quick shrine break is looking pretty good. Afu running around here with the boots, hoping to find a low HP Darkseer jungling up, but he has already retreated his way back. The Radiant have ended up losing their Observer Ward off to the side here, so unfortunate for them. Afu, oh, is he just dead? How many tower shots is he going to take? He's got the Slardar hunting for him. Does manage to get the stun off, but there is a sprint available and no spiked Carapace, so he's looking very dead. Deciding that he doesn't want to give the kill to the Lina, but he's not going to get any choice in the matter as Ori finishes him off with the Dragon Slave. Over on the other side, Yang still just pressuring up. Only 9 CS so far, so the Terrorblade, along with the Vengeful Spirit, doing a pretty decent job of denying a lot of these creeps. But as soon as he gets the level 2 Ion Shell up, his potency in this lane is going to get even stronger, and Lina just gets the solo kill on mid. What on earth? How does that happen? Looks like got a nice stun off, chewed through the refraction charges, and then easy light strike array. Was not expecting that. He drops low, will be forced all the way back to base, so a little bit of farming time for the TA, but still very nice for Delina, and she's going to be returning to the lane with her boots, and some very nice progress towards her bottle as well as she wants it. They're going to get the Ion Shell and the Surge up onto the Slardar. DDC doesn't actually have a tango to get through the trees here. Monet going to try and let him through with the Quelling Blade, and looks like DDC has been able to juke it out. Slardar now on the run. Afu looking to close him off. He's got range for the stun, but he's actually just going to get stunned up by the crush. And alright. Amy able to run away, but now pretty much completely out of mana. So just going to have to back up here, it looks like. Ori still playing very aggressively on the mid lane, but only ahead by 2 CS. Able to play so aggressively because he knows where the supports are, because they're running at the off lane all this time. Darkseer getting mana burn now. Nice stun, catches him over in the trees, and looks like they are just going to try and pincer him a little bit. He instead runs north. He's picked up a TP scroll, but no mana to use it, and just relying on the strength of his stout shield to help keep him alive. Another solo kill on Earth. Another solo kill mid? Really? Okay. Alright. Templar Assassin brought down once again. Looks like Super did manage to do a little bit of shopping before he was brought down. This is, I don't think this is that one-sided of a matchup, but Ori is certainly making it look that way right now. So, a good start for Vici across the board. The Terrorblade, however, not really getting slowed down that much by the Darkseer pressure. Lifestealer just working on some phase boots right now, it looks like, as Slaughter does come in here, planting down yet another Observer Ward to keep this Lena's vision looking good over the mid lane. DDC, almost level 3. I wonder if we'll just pick up a second point in the Magic Missile here. Putting on the pressure, Afu also running over with some boots, the Mana Burn doing good damage, and somehow Yang is chosen as the lucky winner of that Hadouken to the face. They're hunting the TA over in her jungle. They're going to come around the corner and spot her now. They've got the Slardar waiting up on the high ground. Surge forward, just waiting to chew through the refraction. They do get through it now, but he's going to have it coming back up in just a second. Super running for the shrine. Will be able to make it. And actually the refraction just damaging, or the refraction soaking up the auto attacks. But getting damaged through by the Ion Shell. They will get Ori coming in here. It's a nice 2-man stun. He's also got the Laguna Blade. He finds 2. Will he be able to find a 3rd? They're surging onto the Slardar. He doesn't actually have a crush available, but still with another nuke. Vici Gaming find a 4-man rotation, and it finds them 3 kills. Alright, so the damage instances on Ion Shell are too small to actually deal with refraction this early. I guess once he levels it up a little bit more, he'll just dispel it pretty much instantly, but Super not having a good game at all right now. Vici with a 1.6k net worth lead. Terrorblade heading into the jungle a little bit. Is he actually going to start jungling this early and give the lane over to Afu? One more CS and Afu's going to have some arcane boots, which is definitely going to be nice to have. The Abaddon rotating over there just a little bit too early, didn't quite have his level 6. And not really a whole lot that he could contribute. This is one of the downsides of the offlane Abaddon. It pressures the lane, and it, farms decently, but doesn't really rotate all that well early on. And now Chuan and the Slardar are going to look for yet another kill before he hits his level 6. He's quite a ways away, and Chuan skirting around the fog line. They're going to be able to get the lift back into the crush. The Vengeful Spirit with the double damage going to try and help out, but all DDC can do is throw out a sad little howl of terror. And that's going to be it. Alright, so Slardar's picked up some Tranquil. He's going to grab a Quelling Blade, so it looks like it's Slardar's lane now. Lifestealer heading off into a little jungle adventure. Everyone's just dying to Lina mid. I can't take my eyes off Ori because he's just getting solo kills. He's only got 38 CS. He's actually behind the TA right now since she's heading over into the jungle, but can't stop this Lina. Gonna be going for a Bloodstone. Looks like it's going to be extremely fast. I'm gonna switch it over to the net worth now because the last hits are not showing the story at all right now of this game. DDC is still just wandering around, gonna pick himself up an Illusion Rune this time around, but his ward that he planted up on the high ground will be dealt with very, very swiftly. Lifestealer just going to keep on jungling up. He is still going for the Midas this game, so looks like Jal, just kind of the same build every game. Alright. It's a disaster. Misses the Carapace Reflect there. Yang does have his Arcane Boots now, so his farm speed can pick up a little bit, especially now with the level 4 Ion Shell. Vici with a 2-man smoke. It is an interesting time to pull the Lifestealer off the lane, but, well, off the jungle. But looks like there aren't any creeps for him to farm at the moment anyway. And 2 of those camps are going to be blocked out by some DDC illusions, it looks like. So they're just going to go for this Nyx Assassin here on the mid lane. He does manage to get the Carapace off. Gets dragged back. Doesn't get hit by the stun, but they get the kill easily. Monster kill streak, and now Vici looking towards this tier 1 tower. The glyph does get forced out, and Super gonna try and defend it as best he can with the TA trap, but Vici's still going to get a few last auto attacks out on it. LFY going to try and push bottom at the same time. Lifestealer already TPing down, and that's the advantage of walking to a lane to gank. He does get stunned now, but Morpheus is going to be popped. He gets the rage off, still running for it. Phase boots off cooldown. Still being pursued. Another magic missile actually not available. You just need these auto attacks from the Terrorblade Metamorphosis, and they will actually be able to muscle him down. I mean, he knew the heroes that were down here. I guess just didn't expect that the magic missile stun would be able to land. Probably thought that he would be able to rage it, but all right. LFY firing back, looking for their first tier 1 tower of the game. They haven't been able to put much damage on the tier 1 top because of the darks here, but still should be able to get bottom all the same. Is there a glyph available for the Radiant? There is not, and Monet will easily grab that tier 1 tower last hit. Darkseer making good progress towards his mech right now. If that is going to be his decision, I think it would be. Sometimes you go for Pipe Rush against a team with very little physical damage, but I would not characterize a team with a Templar Assassin and a TB as having very little physical damage. This is probably a game as the Darkseer where you're like, do I get a Crimson Guard and a Shiva's maybe? Lift back into the stun, beautifully coordinated by Vici. And Ori is already godlike! 10 minutes into the game. Wait, does he has almost every kill on his team. 9, 0, and 0. Many of these kills were just straight up solo kills as well. And Ori putting on a hell of a performance here on the Lina. He was, you know, kind of controlled a little bit in the previous game as the Templar Assassin, but look at this guy. 6.1k net worth. Ahead of the Terrorblade, who already has a tower last hit. He's going to be picking up a tower last hit of his own. I think Chuan was hoping for it, but does not manage to grab it. And that is a 11-minute Bloodstone on Aluna. Going to be picking up the Shadow Blade shortly after that. And we'll let the pickoffs rain from that point. Afu just asking for a little bit of backup to help find this Chuan kill. Doesn't think that he has quite the damage to do it on his own. There are a couple of magic stick charges. And looks like for now just going to be getting some scouting information. Unfortunately won't be able to get the curry or anything like that. They get the lift back into the sun. This time around the Carapace does come out. Sardar gets the amp, so even with this little bit of Vendetta duration, yeah, Afu instead just chooses to use it for a little bit of farm. And Vici go for the immediate 3-man smoke as night falls. Templar Assassin still finding decent farm and working her way towards the blink. And she will come over into her jungle now. The shrine is active and she does have a full 6 refraction charges active. They've got the Vendetta on the Rubik. They look for the stun. They've got the amp. They get the crush now. They got to get to these refraction charges before they can burst her down. And with the Laguna, they will do so. No reaction whatsoever from LFY. There's Nyx Assassin not even nearby. The Abaddon just holding off the mid wave. There is a bit of pressure from TDC on bottom, but it's just the support Venge, so not really all that scary. And Lifestealer cutting a little path through the trees as they do run forward. He's got a TP skull ready to go, so maybe they hold the stun here. TDC juking in. The crush gets used, but his health is dropping faster than that stun bar, and he's gone. LFY looking for the counter gank. Alpha coming in. Lifestealer, no rage available, and actually just going to get metamorphosed once again. Monet turning him into some gold.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Alright, So LFY do manage to fight back a little bit, but they have still not answered the problem of this Lina just yet. The Darkseer is pushing top lane all the while, so he's going to have his mech right now. I think the Terrorblade and the Templar Assassin are still both very good heroes this game, but we'll see. This Vici momentum is going to be hard to argue with. The Lina is just a farming machine already with her Bloodstone. The Slardar has been given enough lane priority that he's actually only 100 gold away from his Blink Dagger, so once he gets that up, expect a couple of smoke ganks, though. They are using a decent number of smokes to find these kills. The Rubik's not smoked, he's just Vendetta'd around right now. Chuan gonna try and find somebody to give a hug. Ion Shell immediately disappears, and Super has to be a little bit suspicious of this. Taking damage, pops the Shrine. Has he realized what's going on? That there's an Invis hero waiting for him. They get the Vendetta, hit the lift back. He's already lost his refraction charges, and one last auto attack from Chuan. Basically a solo kill. Great little play from him. And even replaces the Vendetta with the refraction after that. Vici now come in. They take out the tier 1 tower. And still making confident strides forward. They're going to load up the Slardar Infest Bomb, but do they consider just going for the Roshan instead? No. They head over the TA trap, and then up onto the hill. Nope, alright. Alright, looks like it is just Roshan time. Probably put the Aegis on their Lina. It's a tough decision because she does have the Bloodstone, so if she dies, she's going to respawn pretty quickly, but if she dies, she's also handing away a godlike streak, so tough call. Corrosive Haze making this an easy Rosh as LFY going to try and contest, but not really getting over there in time. Afu still no Vendetta for a little bit, and Chuan with the refraction able to frontline. They're running in. Can it be LFY's turn to steal an Aegis? The Corrosive Haze is actually worn off. Jalen in a little bit of trouble. They do get the crush out of the Nyx Assassin. He's got the Spiked Carapace surviving for another couple of seconds. Who's got the Aegis? It is Ori. Now turning around. The Abaddon ultimate being forced. They drop the Laguna Blade. It finishes off the Templar Assassin off to the side. A little bit of a spike, but we don't even need to see the fight. We know that Vici Gaming are winning it. Monet now going to pop the meta. Looks towards Jal. He does get the open wounds off. No Infest available, so just has to fight this one out. There is going to be a Sunder. Terrorblade continues to fight. There's no Crush available for the Slardar, and a swap away from DDC. Does manage to get the TB out of there. Lina continues the pursuit. Does manage to get the Light Strike Array off the jump forward Crush. Amy wants to secure this kill as well, but he might end up dying to the Metamorphosis, but not if Chuan has anything to say about it. They get the lift back into the Light Strike Array, and that is going to be a full 5-man wipe. Double kill beyond godlike for Ori, now up to 18 Bloodstone charges. Still has the Aegis intact, and now going to get his Shadow Blade delivered 16 minutes into the game. Absolutely insane performance. I don't think I've seen a mid lane won this hard in a very long time. You know, mid these days with the Shrine, very much about just finding little bits of farm here and there, and the Nyx Assassin getting caught out. Should be chain stunned, can't even get off the Carapace. Chuan, I don't think he sensed that. He just knew that the Nyx Assassin was running nearby with the other wards, and thought, why not? I'll just put down a sentry ward here. What's the worst that could happen? I've got tons of gold. Slardar going to be going for... what is he going for? Solar Crest? Or Staff? Hasn't queued anything up just yet, so we'll wait to see what the decision is from Amy. The Lifestealer still hasn't even finished his armlet just yet after going for the Midas. As Vici will now put more pressure on this tier 2. There is a glyph, so probably not going to be taken. As EDC just going to do a little bit of team farming up with the Terrorblade. Is prioritizing the Vengeance Aura over the Wave of Terror. I guess maybe a little bit more wave push. Good damage for the TB, though. I think the wave does actually end up being better, assuming that you manage to connect it. You know, the Vengeance Aura is a little bit more reliable in some ways. Big smoke from Vici. They've got the Vendetta Rubik once again on the front line, scouting things out. They're going to drag back the TB. He really wants to get to that Shrine, but I think he's just going to get bursted. Huge stun from the Nyx Assassin. Catches 4. Afu making enormous plays. The Sunder is not available. He will still be brought down. DDC getting stunned up. Ori takes a Meld Strike to the face, but they've still managed to take out 2 so far. Super getting dusted up, and Amy's not done. Crush available. The Abaddon turns up to this fight, but is it too late? They do manage to get the blink away on the TA, and he'll end up surviving. Chuan pays the ultimate price for his team, but even with that insane Nyx Assassin stun from the high ground, LFY will not be able to turn the fight. It looks like the Sunder even went off, but not doing anything useful. 22 bloodstone charges on this Ori Lina now. And Vici followed it up with backdooring a tier 1 tower. Abaddon has just picked up a drum, so putting together whatever meager aura items he can, but how do they stop this Lina? What's he picked up? There's no way that he's only got 100 gold. Alright, Boots of Travel ready to go. Gonna be going for the BKB next to help himself out a little bit against the Nyx Assassin. 10.8k is their lead right now as they find DDC back behind the tower, and LFY just look lost. Like, I think they were anticipating that they were going to be able to 5-man with their Abaddon and take fights and take buildings, but look at this. They've only taken a single tier 1 tower. The Lina has been like rolling over them so hard. Along with the rest of his team, I feel like I have to give Chuan some huge props for his plays so far this game. They scout the Nyx Assassin over in the trees. There's a Corrosive Haze and some auto attacks. The Laguna Blade not even required. Super jumps in with the Meld Strike, but he gets amped up, and he might not even be safe. It's vacuumed back into the Crush, and he's gone. Beyond Godlike Streak, the Reflection will keep them inside of the base a little bit as the Laguna Blade gets thrown out over into the Terrorblade. He survives, courtesy of that shield from the Abaddon, who is now getting healed back up by his ultimate, but they've still got the lockdown, they've still got the chase, they've got the chain stun, and Lina is just unleashing hell from the sides of this fight. She's still got the Aegis for a couple more seconds, tanking up the tower somewhat. Does need to be careful. Tier 3 almost gone. They've got more chain stun on the TB. They've got a TB illusion of their own, which is now going to focus and finish off DDC. Double kill for Yang, and Afu's done. LFY are done. They're out of the Summit 7 China qualifiers, and Vici Gaming will keep their dreams alive. They won Game 1 in 24 minutes. They lost an hour-plus slugfest in Game 2, but they fire right back in Game 3, and they're going to wrap this one up in 20 minutes' time. Maybe I can even make... Oh, no, I'm probably not going to make the first game of the other series for MDL, but thanks everybody so much for watching. I appreciate you tuning in. If you have any feedback, my name's Basecape. It's just down in the title. You can check me out on social media. Thanks so much for BTS for having me on to cast. I'm going to be back to cast some more games for them on the stream, I think, in just a second, so I'll probably just leave it up. The MDL delay is technically lower than the Summit delay, so maybe the stream will go down as I set up some overlays and stuff. But thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys are enjoying all the Dota action. There's tons more stuff going on some other streams as well, so if you're